Welcome everyone. My name is Subhan Tariq. I'm the lawyer for consumers. I am going to be talking to you about what to do when an FCRA case comes to your door. This presentation will be based on an understanding that uh, it's going to speak at a little higher level. We're not going to be touching on just the basics of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. If you have questions about basics, about the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can feel free to ask in the chat room. But for the most part, we're going to try to keep it at a very high level discussion about the Fair Credit Reporting Act and what to do when an FCRA case comes to your door. Again, my name is Subhan Tariq, um, and here's my email address and my office number and my Instagram. I'm very, very responsive over phone and email. So feel free to shoot me a message or shoot me an email or call us at the office. And if you have questions, feel free to also send them in the chat. I'll be answering those as the time comes. So, just a disclaimer before we really get started in this presentation. This is not legal advice, period. This presentation is meant for informational purposes only. This is not meant to give you a in-depth understanding of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is to give you an introduction and a brief overview of what to do when a case comes to your door or when a potential case comes to your door. And this is not legal advice about anyone's particular situation. This presentation is for informational purposes only. There is absolutely no attorney-client relationship established by this presentation. If you have questions throughout the presentation, again, as I mentioned before, please feel free to send them in the chat. I will very actively monitor those questions and then we'll get started. So it's really important when you get a case to understand, is it actually a Fair Credit Reporting Act case? And to do that, you need to evaluate your potential client. You need to evaluate your potential type of case, and you need to understand what is the type of potential representation that you're going to be, or the potential consumer, the potential client is going to be seeking. We're going to start, there's a lot of considerations when you have clients or consumers, and to keep them involved in the process and actively engaged. As many of you may have already understood in your own practices or businesses, that keeping clients, keeping consumers engaged in the process is extremely difficult. So it's very important to have considerations for client goals early on and evaluate your potential client to determine where you are. Also, it's really important to evaluate the type of FCRA case that you will have. There will be some that will be based on impermissible access to credit reports. Some will be based on objective inaccuracies. Some will be based on the failure of the credit reporting agencies to provide notice or disclosures. You can have identity theft or mixed file types cases. These are all different types of matters, and it's important to understand and to systematically go through and do a proper evaluation. And the third thing you'll really want to think about is, what is the type of Fair Credit Reporting Act case? What is the type of FCRA case? Is this related to an item that's on a credit report? Is this relating to check systems? Is this relating to employment screening or tenant screening type situations? All of those situations are actually governed by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And it's really important to gauge or understand where the client's needs are and what the situation is. Obviously, if the person is facing an issue with check systems, the situation will be very different compared to if they're having an employment-related issue or a credit problem.